Hey, how's it going, yo? It's David with I'm So Offended, and I'm finally getting to put the trial that I just had a couple months ago that I said I was going to put up, and I put up everything leading up to it, the documents that were filed, what I filed, what they filed, my response, and I was finally able to cut up the hearings, and they're long. It's 3 hours, you know. Um, I separated it into 5 parts, about 45 minutes each, and then the last part is just, basically the ruling, and then I just kind of explain things. So this one is 45, 46 minutes plus, my explanations and whatnot. Um, but the thing is, it's so you know and understand what to what um, what is in store as far as modification of parenting time and legal decision making. And I shut down child support again. But we don't, that actually doesn't happen until like the third or the fourth video. So, anyways, as always, I'm not an attorney and I don't practice law, I don't give legal advice. Anything I say on here is for educational and informational purposes only. I am not liable for anything that you do. I am merely showing what it is I do, what it is I have done, and yeah. So let's get started. This is a long video. So here we go. So this is I filed a petition for modification of parenting time and legal decision making, and they brought up child support, and I shut them down. Here we go. Come on. Let me see. It's supposed to be playing right now. Sorry about that. Let me see what happened.
Okay. Good morning to all of you. This is the continued evidentiary hearing on the petitioner's verified petition for modification of legal decision-making and parenting time. Both parties are present. The respondent is accompanied by her attorney and his paralegal. When we left off on day one, Mr. Quintero was in the midst of examining the respondent on direct examination.
My
Are there
strategy.
any matters to take up before we resume with the evidence?
And
just a quick question. This is my phone and it's off, and I just have one that's not in service. I just want to time myself because I'm cutting it very close.
Okay.
With your permission, so.
All right, that's fine. Sure.
Stopwatch only.
Okay, great. All right, so we've got 3 hours set aside today. Mr. Quintero will use the hour, and Mr. Wintry will be allowed the 2 hours since Mr. Quintero used an hour the last time. So, Mr. Quintero, did you have additional questions on directed?
The reason why I used an hour already before and I didn't include that is because at the first hearing where this all started, I thought we were only going to argue regarding whether I should be allowed to have a trial. That's what I thought the argument was going to be. The judge actually had ruled on it prior to the date. So when we showed up, I was ready to argue having the petition, and the judge was all like, "Well, I rule in favor of Mr. Quintero. We are ready to have trial, so let's move on." And I didn't have any of my questions. I was unprepared because I thought I was arguing for the petition and not arguing for trial. So therefore, I kind of wasted an hour focusing on questions regarding, you know, doing homework with my daughter, and just something. I just was unprepared, and then I just asked the judge for more time. They set a hearing a month and a half later, and then that's when I submitted 52 exhibits and had all my questions written out, and I was on point. I was flying then. So here we go. So that's what the judge means in reference to I used an hour last time, which I basically wasted because I went in unprepared, arguing for the wrong thing. That's why it's very important to know what it is you're heading to your hearing to. And the reason why I was unprepared is because no one gave me information. Like, I called the judge's office, I called their staff and everything, and they couldn't tell me what kind of hearing it was. I thought it was just to argue regarding having the petition or not. Nobody would tell me that it was a trial. Then we showed up and it was trial. So, anyways, here we go. And they do this shit on purpose. They do. But
Nomination for Miss Hadley.
Yes, and it'll be quick, but also my sister says she's planning to be here. She's going to take a lunch break from the hospital to be here. So I timed it out. I should be finishing by the time she gets here. I'm going to take 5 minutes with her, and then he can do his thing, and then she needs to get back to work, if that's okay.
Okay, well,
hopefully.
We'll see.
So that's the judge that's speaking, and then me that's speaking. My sister is a witness. So when you file a petition for modification of parenting time and legal decision making, they give you the opportunity to attach an affidavit of someone who can corroborate why you're making the change in circumstance regarding legal decision making and parenting time. And so my sister made an affidavit about me as a father and other such things. So therefore, if you make an affidavit which is a series of facts sworn under oath, in paper form, but you got to back them up in court under oath. So that's why she's there, to back up in support of my petition.
Where we are when Ms. with her testimony. If you'll come back up to the witness stand, please. I'll remind you, you're still under oath from when you began your testimony on March 21st.
All right, so these are the factors of legal decision making. Let me show you what my strategy was.
All right, Mr. Quintero, you may proceed.
Okay, thank you. All right.
Those are my questions.
Ms. Hadley, are you capable of accepting responsibility or accountability for your actions?
Let's hear the full question first, please.
Are you capable of accepting responsibility or accountability of your actions, even if it's something bad or if they're mistakes?
All right. The objection is overruled. I'll allow the answer. Go ahead. I am, yes.
Okay. Judge, just for reference, I believe the last question I had previously asked her is about dropping off Luz for parenting time on Saturday, January 27th. Do we have that for reference? That was the last question I asked, and then she had answered that Luz always has her car seat.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. I remember you asked her about whether the child was in her car seat during the exchange. Okay. Go ahead, if that's where you'd like to begin with your questioning.
Okay, I'm going to turn this off too. Sorry about that. Just realized. All right. Did you transport, yes or no, did you transport Luz without her safety seat for pickup on Saturday, January 27th, 2024 at approximately 5 p.m. a little before?
No, not that I recall. There's always a seat in the car.
Did you transport Luz without her in her safety seat for drop-off for my parenting time on Wednesday, January 31st at approximately 3:30 p.m.
Again, not that I recall.
Did you transport Luz without her seated in her safety seat for pickup on January 31st, 2024 at approximately 7:30 p.m.?
Again, not that I recall.
All right, yes or no? Do you believe that my parenting time with Luz should be increased?
This question, do you believe my parenting time should be increased? This is a question that proves bias. Like, it shows personal bias because every parent should have equal time, right? So if I don't have equal time, then I'm asking is like, okay, do you believe I should have equal time? So this is a question in which I'm setting her up to show that she's prejudiced, that she doesn't want to do it.
No.
So even if it's best for Luz, as it is for all children, to spend equal time with both parents, do you not want that for Luz?
Objection. The question is objective form of the question. It's compound and argument.
Sustained.
Do you believe equal time for all children is best?
Objection. Kevin. The question doesn't relate to any issue.
Overruled. If it's foundational to getting to something direct about himself, we'll take it from there. So ask that again, please. I don't quite understand it.
Do you think Luz should have equal time with both parents?
No.
Judge was not present, but you testified in trial that you obtained a passport for Luz in October of 2022. That was trial. Is that correct?
I don't know when I obtained it. I did, yes.
Okay. Just to update Judge Woods, how many?
This is time for him to ask
Yeah,
questions.
this is for direct examination questions. If you'd like to give testimony yourself,
I will.
when the time comes, that will be a good time to make your remarks.
Okay. How many times have you traveled? I don't know if this is right, but you'll tell me. How many times have you traveled out of state with Luz?
I don't know.
Okay. Hopefully my sister will be here in the hour. Is there anything you wish to say to the court regarding my sister, or to my sister in case you don't get to say it to her?
We're not here for your sister.
Okay. Thank you.
The reason why I ask these questions, right, they don't make sense because you guys don't know what's going on with me. But the thing is, when a parent obtains a passport, they need permission from the other parent, right? If there's a shared custody plan, which is in all cases, they need an affidavit from the other parent giving permission for the child to have a passport. So what I was doing is pointing out that she obtained a passport illegally, right? So that's one thing. I pointed out her prejudice, that she didn't want us to have equal time. And then I pointed out that she's the one that's traveled out of state, right? And she's done it, without consent. And then as far as my sister, there was an incident that happened a couple years ago where she tried to hit my sister with her car while my daughter was inside. And so, of course, the court does nothing about it. So trust me, when you guys talk to me on the phone and you tell me about what your baby mama did to you, my baby mama tried to hit my sister with her car while her daughter was inside. My daughter was inside the car. She tried to hit my sister with her car. Nothing was done about it. So when you guys tell me about how unlawful these courts treat you, trust me, I know. They don't give a fuck. They don't care. So anyways, I just needed these questions out of her. That was it. It didn't matter because I was going to state in my testimony what needed to have happen, because all she was going to do was lie. That's it. All she was going to do was lie, and there was nothing I was going to get out of her testimony. But what I did get out of her is her alleging that she had our daughter in a car safety seat, even though I filmed her actually with some spy glasses that I bought I bought them on Amazon, I believe. They were like 20 bucks, and I just put in a card, whatever. It has like a little button, and I push it, and I record our exchanges, and I filmed the baby mama transporting our daughter without a child safety seat. But of course, they did nothing about it. They do nothing about it. They don't care. They don't care what the mother does. All right, so trust me, again, when I tell you guys, women get away with everything. They do. It still happens. This trial was only a couple months ago. They get away with everything. Pick your battles. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But they don't give a fuck about fathers. Continuing.
Good, and I just reserve if I have time to rebut when Mr. Winter's done with her.
Okay,
Thank you.
you'll get the chance to redirect. Mr. Wintry, do you have any questions for Ms. Hadley on cross-examination?
Ms. Hadley, talk to us about your feelings about car seats and the transport of your daughter.
I want my daughter to be as safe as she can be in the car.
All right, so since I first questioned her, and then he gets to go, and he's going to go through with her entire testimony and whatever and whatnot, to make her look good and whatever and whatever. They spent quite a bit of time. The thing is, she lies.
So she's supposed to have a car seat until she's 8 or 4'9", and my daughter is 7.5 and 4 feet tall. So she's still in her booster seat.
Okay.
We've always.
It's a lie. It's a lie. It's a lie. Caught her transporting her without her car seat. At least a minimum of 4 times. That's only what we know about. It's only what I know about, because I don't know when she would take her to school, but when she would bring her to me, no car seat. So it's a lie. Women, they lie in court and they do nothing about it. Nothing.
Car seat. It's always, I don't know, this always seems to be like an issue with David in court. So I've always,
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Finish your
I've
sentence.
always offered him the opportunity to please, and I've encouraged it, please just strap loosen yourself, so this doesn't keep coming up, of which he ignores me and just does whatever David wants to do and just walks away or whatever. This has been going on since she was an infant in her first car seat. He's always made claims that she's not being in a car seat. I don't know, but he gives me the child. He lets me drive away with the child. He doesn't call the police at that time. He makes online reports. I don't know what it's.
All right. So Mr. Quintero chose to ask you about some dates that he provided, and whether or not on that particular date at that particular time you had transported the child not properly secured in a car seat. Is that what you understood his question to be?
That's what I'm understanding that he's applying. I will say loose parts around. We sit in the parking lot waiting for him. She would get out of her seat. Since he brought it up again, I make her stay strapped in now. Because we'd be sitting around for a while waiting for the bus to get there and stuff. But so since he brought it up again and is making allegations, I won't even let her get out of this seat now, like the seat until he's there.
Okay.
Just for fun. I wasn't going to add this to the video, but let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's look at the exchange videos. Let's look at one of them. Why not? Why not? Why not? Just for fun. Gonna add it here. Let's see. There it is. Just for fun. All right, let me remove this here. And here we go. Just for fun, let's go ahead and add it. Let's see. Here we go. Let's go ahead and find out. Here we go. Oh. Am I blind? Do you guys see it? Do you guys see it? See it again. You see it? Yeah. Anyways, let me close that back up. Let's get back to what we were doing. All right, here we go.
But prior to Mr. Quintero's complaints prompting you to leave your child strapped in the car seat, back to the events that the dates he plucked out and asked you about. My question is, can you offer some context for Judge Woods on, let me know when you're there.
Go ahead, yeah.
Can you offer some context for Judge Woods about what was happening during exchanges that may explain where Mr. Quintero's question comes from?
I can't, to be honest. I don't know. I drop her off and I pick her up.
All right.
I don't know if there's been instances where I've started driving and we stop because Luz will not be strapped in. So we'll drive a little bit and I'll be like, Luz, you got to be strapped in. And there's been instances like that, but there's always been a car seat in the car. I mean, 5H reports it numerous times in all those reports that there's a black car seat in the car. There's a black car seat.
Well, the car seat's a great and good thing, but you do understand the idea is that Luz needs to be.
Oh, I understand. Yeah, I understand totally.
All right. So, Mr. Quintero's questions were not, did you have a car seat? It was whether or not you drove Luz unsecured. And can you describe for Judge Woods whether you restrained your daughter in the car seat prior to driving?
So I don't restrain Luz in the car seat. She puts the seatbelt on herself in her seat. So.
All right. And you're saying there's been a time, at least once, where you looked and she had not done that?
When we're in the parking lot there's been a time where I've started to drive off and stopped.
Okay.
There has been.
This is all nonsense. It's nothing but lies. I just showed you one of the videos. It's all lies.
All right, but I'm understanding you to say the responsibility for closing the straps belongs to your daughter.
It does. Luz does know she has to. She's 7.5. She does know she has to strap herself in.
All right, but you have, at least on the one occasion we're talking about, prompted her or reminded her.
I have,
right.
Certainly.
And how does she respond when you remind her to do that?
She does it.
So again, my question is, do you routinely, as a matter of habit, check to make sure your daughter has in fact strapped herself in prior to driving the streets of Tucson?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it's second nature. I don't really think about it. It just happens.
Which is why I use the word habit.
It is a habit.
Should Judge Woods conclude from your testimony that this is something that always happens?
Yes, that Luz is always strapped in the car, yes.
Okay.
I don't know. I might not be understanding, but...
I beg your pardon?
I'm sorry, I might not be understanding totally, but my daughter's always safe in the car and strapped in her seatbelt.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
The question about whether you are a person who accepts responsibility, is that you told Mr. Quintero that you are, is that correct?
I am.
All right. And then you were asked some questions about his sister,
Mhm.
who obviously has not appeared as a witness yet. And I believe her name is Dinah Quintero. Is that what you understand her name to be?
I understand it to be Dina.
Dina. Pardon me for the
It's okay,
for
yeah.
correcting my mispronunciation. Is Miss Quintero, Dina Quintero, someone with whom you've had enough interactions to have a relationship?
We don't have a relationship, no.
All right.
I do know her. I know of her.
And has she spent enough time with you where she would have a basis to offer opinions about your ability to parent your child?
No, I wouldn't assume that.
Okay. So what were the nature of the interactions you had?
The reason why he asked that question is because who can give corroborative testimony and information regarding parenting, right? And so she's only there as a witness for me to give corroborative and supporting information regarding my parenting. So therefore, what he was doing is basically removing her knowledge of any parenting of her. That's what was going on.
Dina Quintero?
The natures are previously, David, I feel like he tried to claim that I tried to run her over when I was asking her to show me the car seat she was transporting Luce in, because she...
Very interesting. Very interesting. Remember, when she first started her testimony, she was saying, oh, this has always been an issue, him asking me about my car seat. Flip side, she just admitted that she was asking my sister about a car seat.
driven Luce somewhere, and I just wanted to see the car seat, which she couldn't produce. And so after I had asked her those things for the car seat and her insurance and making sure that she had a legal license.
You hear this? In a way, she's kind of fucking herself right there with that, because who is she to ask somebody for their license and insurance and a car seat, right? Remember this later. At this point in time, like, the judge was making like faces like what the fuck? Like, she's learning that she's narcissistic.
None of which was provided. They made claims that I tried to run her over.
Okay, so when we have proposed to Judge Woods that we do curbside exchanges, and from your house to Mr. Quintero's house, he has responded by saying you tried to run down members of his family. Have you heard him make those statements?
I have heard it numerous times, yeah.
Okay, is this the incident to which you are referring to?
That's the incident I'm referring to, yes.
Okay, so can you tell us with regard, and would you still be of the opinion that curbside exchanges would be the most non-traumatic way for Luz to get from one parent's house to the other, minimizing the risk of interactions between you and Mr. Quintero?
100%.
Okay. And again, the only argument against that is this alleged incident. Is that right? That you've heard that you tried to run down?
He does bring up this alleged incident, but we were doing curbside drop off during COVID first. He was allowing me to drop her off at his house, and then that abruptly stopped because he felt like I was wanting to spy on him. So we were doing it for a period of time, and then he abruptly stopped it because of whatever reasons he has. I don't know. But
these curbside exchanges.
I don't have the ability to just change the orders. We have to agree to that. It's never happened.
Occurring during COVID. This is after the alleged incident with you and the sister. Is that
yes, that's correct.
After the incident, whatever it was, you all did curbside exchange.
We did where because I didn't want Liz to be on public transportation during COVID, so I didn't know what was going on, and she has a heart murmur thing, but so I asked him if I could just drop her off at his house. So I dropped her off at the courts, which are just like right in front of his house, there, and picked her up from there.
Was
But
that,
there's been times where he has dropped her off at our house since this incident that he claims is the reason why he doesn't want me at his house to drop Luce off. So we have done that on a few occasions. He's dropped her off because I've let him have additional time. And I asked her if, on a Thanksgiving, I believe, and I said, can you just drop her off at home? And he did. No incidents have occurred ever.
all right? And the drop-offs you were doing at his residence during COVID,
Mm-hmm.
after you proposed that to him, did he agree to that?
He agreed to it initially, and then he abruptly stopped it after COVID kept going on for a long.
I don't have the ability to just change orders. We have to agree to it. It's never happened. These are lies.
I'm saying I just wanted to do it for spying reasons.
And he told you he thought you were spying on him?
Yeah, I just
Objection.
wanted to.
That's hearsay.
Well, it's in text
Well,
messages.
It's your own statement, which by definition is not hearsay.
Okay.
All right, so, Ms. Hadley, when somebody objects, you need to stop talking.
Okay,
Let Mr. Quintero make his objection, allow Judge Woods to rule, and
certainly,
then we'll go forward.
certainly.
So my question to you was, Mr. Quintero was the one who told you that the reason he was unilaterally stopping curbside drop-offs in his place was because he thought you were spying on him?
And
If I thought she was spying on me, why would I allow them to begin with? Okay, first of all, yes, she was spying on me, which is why I never allowed them. I don't know what they're talking about. Okay, all we did was switch to a spot that was closer, but never by my house. That never happened.
indirectly, it's in a text message, so I'm sure it's in the court document somewhere where it is indirectly. You just want to spy on what I'm doing.
All right, he attributed that your motive for doing curbside was to gain a surveillance opportunity on Mr.
And
Quintero.
yes, and not for Luce's well-being.
Okay, but he did not repeat his allegation that you would use it as an opportunity to run down members of his family.
No, because he allowed it. So,
And again, he discontinued curbside drop-offs because his concern that the physical opportunity to drop her off in front of his place would allow you an opportunity to look at what was going on in his place from the curb.
sure.
Okay. Your opinion was that you were doing it for Luz's benefit. Is that correct?
That's exactly why I wanted to do it. I didn't want her in public transportation at the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
And fortunately, we seem to be past COVID, knocking on wood now. Today, do you believe curbside exchange?
It's interesting that she doesn't want our daughter on public transportation, but we're on the bus every week. Every week. Every week. My daughter and I were on public transportation. We're on the bus. Every week. I take her home on the bus. Every week. Twice a week sometimes.
Would be in Luz's best interests.
Again, 100%.
And just briefly explain to us why you believe it's in Luz's best interest that exchanges be curbside.
I think I want to just say I think it's in everyone's best interest. To be honest
but I'm not
with you,
asking about
I
that
know.
child.
But Liz in particularly, I don't like her sitting. Sorry, I don't like her sitting in the dark in parking lots.
She sells this. She sells this. The court buys it. The court buys this. A crying white mother. Court buys it. Every time.
Weird neighborhoods, to be honest with you. It's
All right, let me stop you
Sorry.
for a second. Do you see the Kleenex next to you?
yeah, I have it in my pocket.
Okay. Presently, the exchanges, are they occurring someplace that's dark? And where are the exchanges happening now?
They're at the police station, but it's still in a dark. It's still dark at night there, and it's hot during the day. I mean, and you just want better for your kids. I don't want her to have to sit in a parking lot waiting for her dad to show up or the bus to come, or she's sitting in the sun in the summer. It's just something I don't want for my child. I know a lot of children do it, but
Okay, but,
I think we can do better.
and for you, better is curbside. So explain, you're nodding your head yes. Is that
Yes.
right?
Mhm.
And you're saying, you mean
Yes.
yes or you mean no?
I said yes.
Okay, on thumbs and head nods don't make it into the record. So I'm not scolding you, I just need you to understand we gotta make a record. Okay? I'm sorry?
Yes.
So curbside exchanges would be better than waiting in the police parking lot or waiting in a parking lot for a public bus to come. In what way? How is the curbside drop-off better for your daughter?
She'll just be at where she's supposed to be at. I mean, directly, not having to take multiple transportation mechanisms to get where she needs to go. I just know she'll get to her dad safely. I know that then she can be brought home. I know it will maximize his time with her because he won't have to be sitting at bus stops and parking lots himself. And she can just directly go into the other parent's home. I mean, I don't know how else clear to put it. She doesn't have to sit in parking lots with.
All right.
We take the bus twice a week. We do this now. This is nonsense.
And so whatever the interaction was with Dina Quintero, is there any risk of you interacting with David Quintero, his sister, or any other member of her family if what you do is pull up to the curb outside of his home and let your child out?
No, I mean, she can just go from my car to inside his house.
Okay, and similarly, when he does a drop off at your place, is there any chance of interaction between you and Mr. Quintero?
No, there doesn't have to be. He just drop her off and she comes
So
in.
if in fact the concern the court is going to address is the opportunity for adverse interactions between you and Mr. Quintero or members of his family, is that risk increased with exchanges in a parking lot or decreased? If you and Mr. Quintero are both in the same parking lot, is the risk of adverse interactions greater or less than if it's a curbside?
Thank you. It's less, obvious. Less.
Less in which one? I'm sorry.
Less if we do curbside because we won't have to have that interaction.
It's
At
just
all.
an opinion.
Yeah, at all.
All right. So one of the other questions Mr. Quintero asked you about is whether you are depriving your child of a relationship with their father by not taking Luz to therapy. Do you remember him asking you those questions?
I don't remember him asking me that specific question. But
Of course not. Of course not.
All right.
sorry.
Then let me ask you, did you make arrangements for Luz to get therapy?
Luz did go to therapy.
And who did you make the arrangements for Luz to obtain therapy through?
Luz did the court order where she went to Reflections, and then she went to Casa de los Niños.
That was from a previous order.
And I'm sorry, with what agency or entity?
Casa de los Niños.
CDLN?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and what were the kinds of therapy that you arranged for Luz to have?
I don't know. I wasn't in that therapy for that, but she graduated that. At school, she has been in her speech therapy at school, and she's been in her, like, she does counseling, these group counseling sessions that they do for little kids, like how to make friends and get along. And
is that at CDLN or is that?
That's at her school, Robbins.
All right.
K through 8. Yes.
You're may approach the witness.
Yes.
Let me show you what we marked as Exhibit B as in Victor. Did you give her a bench brief?
The exhibit finder here on my desk, yes.
Thank you. All right, let me ask you to take a look at Exhibit B as in Victor. Our staple got a little loose there, but take a look carefully through these. Tell us what that is.
So this is going to be.
I gotta give you a vision. I'm gonna trade you.
Okay,
I've got to give you the official mark.
Gave her the exhibit.
okay.
They're looking at an
Sure.
exhibit. No, it hasn't been entered in yet. They're just looking at it right now. He's setting up foundation.
Pages to V, so
Mhm.
describe for us what V is.
I do believe this is all of the speech therapy.
I'm sorry?
I believe it's all the speech therapy because I sent speech and the counseling email together. So I think this is all relevant to speech therapy.
Okay.
That she
And
did. She's been doing since, I feel like kindergarten.
speech therapy.
Yes. And then she just got released from it.
And when you say she got released on it, I'd like you to take a look at page base stamp 140.
So this hasn't been admitted into evidence yet. They're just establishing foundation.
Let's see. What did they stamp? Yeah. I don't see a 140 in here.
Okay,
maybe
take a
I'm-
look at the very last page, and I'm sorry I didn't send you there.
This one?
Is that a certificate of a license?
It is. It's the woman who did the speech therapy program.
Okay,
Yeah.
and what does this indicate?
So when he doesn't have a witness there, he's trying to establish that that it's a professional opinion from what it was that they conducted. So obviously, there isn't, like if they're going to say like, oh, a speech therapist or a therapist said this and said that, but they're not there as a witness to corroborate, right? It's all hearsay. So therefore, to give the hearsay more strength and power, they're going to show emails by a person and then show their certifications or their licenses and this and that. So therefore, that's how you can achieve kind of like, even though it's hearsay in a way, they can at least, it could be hearsay with merit based on the fact that the evidence introduced from another person is someone with title, with opinion, with professional opinion, with a professional diagnosis, facts, whatever it may be, to just give it more strength, even though ultimately it's not their personal testimony, but it's enough for consideration.
Ms. Gutowski, what is this document?
It's saying that she's a licensed speech language pathologist.
All right, and is this the lady you arranged to provide the speech therapy for your daughter?
Yes, that's who provided it for this. Mm-hmm.
And is she still getting therapy for Ms. Gutowski?
She is not. She can say all her sounds now. So she just got released. She just got done with it.
All right, so if I ask you to turn a few pages in advance, it's base stamp 136.
Okay.
Okay, did you find 136?
I see it. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and what does 136 tell us?
It doesn't have like dates on here, but it just looks like when she reached out to me in an email to tell me that at the beginning of first grade that she was gonna continue working with Luz.
All right, I want to direct your attention, and you're on page 136, base stamp 136, right?
Yeah.
I want to ask you to look in the top third of the page. Is the date on this August 15th of 2023 at 10:41 a.m.?
I don't have a date on here. I don't know if I'm-
Make sure we're literally on the same page. Okay, so.
All I'm doing is listening at this point in time. When I'm sitting in my chair, I'm listening, and all I'm doing is just writing down. I write down what evidence they introduce and whether it's been admitted or not. And then if she happens to lie or anything, then I bring that up in cross if I have the evidence to do it. So I'm just sitting there, just listening, just writing down whatever I can pick up that I can use.
Okay.
Page 135,
Mhm.
136. And is that on the date that we just discussed, August 15th?
August 14th.
All right, and what does that tell us?
Well, because the email starts here, it tells us that she was continuing her speech therapy for first grade. That's
Okay.
what that is.
And so did she in fact do that?
She did all year.
And how's she doing now?
Well, she's done with it. That's why they didn't feel like there's any more need for it.
All right, and was that communicated to you in an email also?
I believe it was. It was also, we had a meeting and
A meeting with who?
with Laura and her teacher,
Okay.
Erin. Something good.
All right, let me show you now Exhibit A. Adam Baker. And can you tell me what AB is?
So they're bringing in another exhibit. They're looking
Is
at
that
it,
Casa de los Niños progress note?
establishing foundation, but none of this has been entered into evidence.
Casa de los Niños progress note.
Okay, and is there a date on
This one on the first page says 7/28/22. Oh, there's a lot of dates on her.
Okay. So, what's the episode date you see on this document?
The episode dates are 1/11/22 to present because I think she started 1/11 with them.
All right, so
What they're bringing up is evidence from the trial before. It's not even relevant right now. That was before the last trial.
can you tell us what do these reports, what was the therapy or the work being done at Casa de los Niños for the Luz that began in January of 22 up through the present?
This was her therapy after she was kidnapped.
Okay?
Objection. There's no conviction, there's no charge, arrest, nothing for kidnapping. Judge Sklar had previously instructed them not to use the word kidnapping in his ruling, 11 pages long. In October of 2022, the word kidnapping was never in there.
Overruled. I'll accept this as this witness's characterization of what she thinks happened.
And I had mentioned that before, when I was, just doing a lot of research and I tried to do this this property thing, old school, because way back in the day, back during constitutional times, even before then, when the Constitution was first drafted and so forth, when it was just the Bill of Rights, and then they kept adding more amendments. At that point in time, it was just a man and his property, and that was, his wife, his children, his stock, his everything, his cattle, all of that stuff. That's what the wording was used. But then over the course of time, the word child got invented, and then the child became a legal term that they used. And so I had tried something a couple of years ago to be able to try to be able to get more custody by creating an administrative process, which failed. And I've been very vocal about that and clear about that. So when people tell me about doing an administrative process and that's how they do this and that's how they do that, it's a scam. All of that is nonsense. I know because I learned the hard way, because I tried doing it and it failed. So So when I tell you that I'm the guinea pig for the things that I try, I'm telling you I've tried those things. So if anybody gets on a phone call with me and I tell you that shit is a scam, it's a scam. It's not true. And anybody's selling you things like that, it's not real. It's not true. Okay? The only thing it's going to do is get your kids taken away or get you thrown in jail. All right?
Okay.
Without making my own finding of whether what happened amounted to kidnapping or not. Go ahead, Ms. Hadley.
So this was therapy that you received after what you described as a kidnapping, is that right?
Correct, yes.
And can you tell us, please, what did this particular note offer in terms of an assessment or observations?
This is the note saying that they're gonna close it. They're gonna discharge her from therapy.
And did they describe the process that had been undertaken that got them to the point where they felt that they could discharge Luz from therapy?
The process, therapist and client engaged in child-centered play.
Would it be correct to say that what the therapist said is that the therapist utilized the session to complete the closure session and facilitated a discussion with the client about the discharge therapy and normalized the client's feelings? And that the therapist and the client engaged in child-centered play with the therapist, providing praise and encouragement as the client transitioned between activities?
It would be fair to say that.
And in terms of the status of the treatment goals, that the therapist found that the child was stable.
Yes, it's a stable.
And then again, as far as recommendations from Casa de los Niños, is that the therapist was going to complete the therapy discharge for the client and the update.
Correct.
Is that what you understood to be the recommendations of the therapist from Casa de los Niños?
Yes, the therapist told me that Luz was okay because I allow her to openly express her feelings and she can talk freely about how she feels in our house. So that there's not much more that they could have helped her with because she
was doing okay?
she's doing okay.
All right. So the questions that you were being asked about obtaining therapy, whether it was for speech or her emotional issues, do you believe the records we've just reviewed indicate that you were, in fact, diligent and compliant with the recommendations to help your daughter?
Yes.
Your Honor, we'd offer V as in Victor and AB.
Then, you heard that? What he just said right there. That's when he admitted the evidence. And then the judge is going to ask me, you'll see.
Objection, Mr. Quintero?
No.
All right.
So, whenever evidence is entered in, the other party has the ability to object or not. So, they have two exhibits in.
V and Exhibit AB are admitted.
All right. The question that I wanted to ask you about from Mr. You know what? That's okay. Judge, I don't have any further questions at this time.
All right, Mr. Quintero, do you have any redirect to follow up on what was asked on cross-examination?
First, I just want to apologize because I was fiddling with the watch. I couldn't get it to turn off, so I set it to airplane mode. Because at the very beginning, that's what I did. I noticed you look at me, and that's what that was. So sorry about that.
No, I wasn't looking at you for any reason other than to just occasionally I scan the room and see
That's
if
all.
anybody needs anything or is raising their hand or something.
Just in case.
Okay.
That's all. All right. So about the things that Mr. Wintery asked you here. Are you a police officer?
No, I'm not.
Okay, so do you have the right to ask somebody for their insurance and license?
I stated that incorrectly. It should have been, legal authority. Do you have the legal authority? Not right. Because we all have the right to just say something and ask somebody something. So I messed up in my redirect. And I should have said legal authority. And I asked her, do you have the right?
I have the right to ask somebody who's traveling with my child in the car. Yes, I do.
I don't know if this is proper, but is there an order that exists for curbside pickup? And could you produce it if such exists?
It's a compound question, one at a time.
Okay.
Sustained. Want to break it down into one question?
Can you produce an order in the history of this case where curbside pickup has ever happened?
I can't produce a court order. There was an agreement between us. Yes.
Could you produce the agreement between us where there was a curbside pickup?
Yeah. Right now, I cannot. I can pull my text messaging piles that I have.
Okay. You also stated that there is no risk with my family. Is that correct?
I don't know what you mean.
He had asked you as far as exchanges that there is, I'm quoting, you said no risk with my family.
Judge,
That's
that
not-
wasn't the
For exchanges.
Sustained. I think the question had to do, was there a risk of Miss Hadley having contact with you or your family?
Yes.
If it was curbside.
Um,
So is that what you're referring to?
Not if it's curbside, just risk with exchanges. You said there is no risk with my family with exchanges.
Yeah, that doesn't reflect the questions being
All right, well, let's let Miss Hadley answer it if she wants to clarify what her testimony was or what her intent was. Go ahead, Miss Hadley.
The question's not related to the question that was asked. He was asking if it would minimize risk if we did curbside pickup because the child would go from the car into the other parent's home, which would mean that no other people would be involved. So it would eliminate the risk that you say is there, that there's a risk.
Okay. But you said that there is no risk with my family.
Judge, that's not what you said.
Sustained.
Okay. All right. I'm done with it, Ms. Hadley, at the moment.
All right, Miss Hadley, thank you. That completes your testimony.
Thank
You
you.
can step down and return to your seat. Okay, Mr. Quintero, so far I have you at using 7 minutes and Mr. Wintry used 28. So just for frame of reference.
Sure. Okay.
Next
I
witness.
have the same thing. I like that. So my sister just walked in, so I want to get her in and out of here.
Okay, what is her name?
Oh, Tina Quintero. I'm sorry.
All right,
She was
Ms.
in the notice.
Quintero, the witness stand is up here, the chair to my right. If you'll come forward, please.
All right. So let's get to the questions I have prepared
And
for her.
please remain standing, raise your right hand. Our court clerk will put you under oath. Yes, yes, perfect. All right, please be seated. And Mr. Quintero, go ahead and ask your witness whatever questions to get the relevant information.
Sure. Thank you so much for being here. Could you, well, you already stated your name. Could you say your relationship to Luz, please?
I am.
Let me tell you why I'm asking this. All right? These here, oh, let me bring it up. My bad. So this is the statutes here, and I want you to see number 2, right? These are the best interest statutes, right? This is how the judge is going to make the ruling. So look at number 2. It says the interaction and interrelationship of the child with the child's parent or parents, the child's siblings, and any other person who may significantly affect the child's best interest. Okay, so my sister, we're very close, and we're close to each other's children and whatnot, and so therefore, she is there as a corroborative witness to not just for me, but also someone who is significantly in the child's best interest, right? Who has a relationship who has an interaction and relationship with the child, right? That's why she's there. So, okay.
Quintero's sister, so I am Luz's aunt, and she's my niece.
Okay. Is it fair to say that Luz is familiar with you and would recognize you and feels fondly of you over
He's
the?
leaving, Judge. Object.
Would you say that Luz is familiar with her? Is familiar with you and would recognize you?
Yes,
Do you feel that Luz feels fondly of you?
yes,
And have you known her over the course of her life?
yes. I actually met her in the for the first time in the hospital when she was born.
That's establishing timeline. She was always there, right? How important? Well, she's always been there.
Have you ever spent any time with Luz outside of my parenting time with Luz?
No.
Can we look at Exhibit 47, please?
Would you like to hand that to the witness?
Thank you.
You have a new exhibit?
Yeah.
Okay, you can hand it to the clerk. He'll put an exhibit label on it.
I dropped another. Oh, there it is. Just a couple. I had it to.
Yes.
Can you identify what you see there on the first page?
It is a text message that I sent to Kim.
In a few words, could you describe what's stated in the text message?
Foundation.
Time frame? Is that what you're asking
Yes,
for?
Your Honor.
Okay, sustained. Mr. Quintero, if you'll have the witness identify the date or approximate date that she sent the text.
Um,
What's the date on there?
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. It was July 23rd, I believe, of last year of 2023.
Okay. Could you identify what you see? Excuse me. In a few words, could you describe what is stated in that text message?
I was reaching out to Kim to let her know how much I loved Luz and missed her and wanted to have some kind of communication with her or see her at some point, anytime that we can or that I can.
Okay. Did Ms. Hadley ever respond?
No.
Okay. Can you identify? I'm sorry. Could you turn to the next page, please? And what's the date that you see on there?
This was October 18, 2023.
Could you identify what it appears to be?
It was an email that I sent to Kim that pretty much the same thing, asking her if it was possible for me to spend time with Luz and that I missed her, and that if we can see her and to let her know how much she is loved.
Okay. Did Ms. Hadley ever respond?
No.
Okay. I would like to enter that exhibit 47, please.
No objection.
Exhibit 47 is in.
Okay. You see that? Now I entered in the exhibit. First I established foundation, then we spoke about it, and I followed, basically what I had set up and entered in the exhibit, right? To show that my sister asked to spend some time and with our daughter, baby mama never responded. She sent her a text message, sent her an email, never responded.
I want to look at exhibit 50, please.
If you have several exhibits, you could just collect them all and hand them to the witness. That will save you some time. It's up to you. You could do it one at a time, or if you want to grab all of them.
I'm learning as I go. And can you identify what that is?
That is a affidavit. I don't know if that's the word. I don't know. It's something I submitted to the courts.
Okay. Is everything in this affidavit correct and true to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
Can you go to the very last sentence in the affidavit that starts with, "It is true that Kim"?
It is. You want me to read it?
Yeah, that and just the next two sentences, please.
Okay. It says, "It is true that Kim's hatred towards my brother has caused her to follow me to my brother's house, and she yelled at me and tried to hit me with her car while Luz was in the vehicle." Right there.
Two more, please.
"I didn't do anything to Kim. Nothing. I have never insulted nor cursed at Kim. I have never threatened her, nor have I ever harmed Luz in any way."
Has Miss Hadley ever apologized to you for that incident?
No.
If she were to finally apologize to you, would you accept her apology?
Absolutely.
Why?
I am not, or have I ever been here to fight with Kim or in any of the ways been caught in the middle of anything. We're both, all of us are here for Luz, and that's pretty much the bottom line. We want to spend time with her. We want her to get to know our family,
Thank you.
make memories together. Sorry.
No, I'm
That
sorry.
was it.
But thank you. I'm done with
With your questions?
Yes.
All right, Mr. Wintry, cross examine.
So that was all I needed from her, just to establish relationship, to point out that she's not trying to cause altercations. She just wants to be in our daughter's life, and that it was Miss Hadley that wronged her. And even though it was the baby mama that tried to hit her with her car, and she's never apologized to her, she still would look through that and point out that our daughter is what's most important, and she did beautifully. She did beautifully. So, and that was it. That's all I needed out of her.
Ms. Quintero, I'm looking at your request that you said was sent in July of last year, asking for time with your niece.
Yes.
That's Exhibit 47. Is that right? During this time, you were aware that your brother was under a court order to not spend unsupervised time with Luz. Did you know that?
If I knew if he couldn't spend unsupervised time.
Were you aware that during the time you made these two requests, your brother was prohibited from spending any unsupervised time with Luz? Were you aware of that?
I don't know the specifics of what their contracts are.
Okay. And the last thing you wanted to do was be in the middle of that, right?
Yes.
I understand. I mean, I absolutely understand. So when the request was made, you were unaware that your brother could not spend time with Luz other than under the supervision of 5H's. You didn't know that.
I do not know the specifics.
Fair enough. But you can understand why Kim would not be able to let you spend time with her brother, believing that if you were spending time, David was likely to be there as well.
I did not mention him in any of my requests.
Fair enough. But
Okay, so we'll cut it there. we'll continue with the cross-examination for the next video. And yeah, all right. Hit me up. You have my email.